my name is Ellen Vincent. I'm a long-term member of the National Eczema Society. I think I joined the National Eczema Society when I was a baby, or rather, I should say my mum joined, and we've been quite actively involved for many, many years. I'm actually now one of the trustees. I think it's very hard for people that haven't had severe eczema or haven't had any experience of anyone that they know with severe eczema, because eczema is such a common thing. Everyone knows someone or has probably had it themselves at some point in their life, but for most people, eczema is usually just a bit more of an interference and a bit of an itchy patch on their elbow or behind their knees. So I don't think people really understand when you're covered from head to toe in eczema how poorly you feel, and it's a completely different kettle of fish, really. For me, my eczema has been at times all over my body. At the moment, I mostly suffer with it on my face, and I think it's probably fair to say that's probably the hardest place to have it, because it's very kind of physically there. You can't get away from it very easily. You can't cover it up with a nice cotton t-shirt and try and forget about it. And it's not just the physical sensation or the feeling of having the eczema, it's how it makes you feel kind of mentally and emotionally, because often when it's flared, you're very red, your skin's very dry, very flaky. Quite often when my skin is really bad, and as I said earlier, when it's bad on my face, I feel particularly conscious about it. There are definitely days when I struggle to get up in the morning. I would prefer just to hide under my duvet. It's kind of a daily battle. I get up in the morning, I wash my face, I put on all my creams. It's not something that I can skip. There are no short cutting of corners. I have to go through creaming up all over, head to toe, every morning, every evening, and often if it's inflamed and bad, throughout the day as well. And often when you put your cream on, it actually stings quite a lot, and it takes a good 15-20 minutes for it to settle down. So I'll often kind of climb back under the duvet, and there are definitely times when I wish I could just stay there, but unfortunately, when you've got a long-term condition like eczema, you don't really have that option, and I certainly don't want to let it get the better of me. I find it is difficult to cope because it can be very up and down. So in recent years, I've had quite a few good phases where it's never gone away and it will never go away. And I always have to be very careful about looking after my skin. For example, I could never dream of going to bed with my makeup on and not doing a proper kind of cleansing and creaming with all my emollients before bed and first thing in the morning. But I have had in the last few years quite a good run of it. So I guess I can't complain too much. But I feel like in the last kind of 6 to 8 months, my skin has been suffering, and it's difficult because I've really never got to the bottom of what my triggers are. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm talking to anyone about my eczema, they'll say, well, what causes it? And I always say, well, that's the $1 million question, because if I knew that would be half the battle, really. But I'm sure there are things that I know doesn't help. So like everyone will state, stress is always going to make things worse. Or if I have a particularly bad night's sleep for one reason or the other, that doesn't help either. But it's really hard not knowing what triggers it. I've never found any kind of dietary things have made any difference for me. I mean, obviously, I've tried everything, every kind of magical potion you can imagine. I've tried all the alternatives, as well as obviously all the traditional medicine. I've tried pretty much everything over the last 40 years. And it is difficult because, you can then be on a good run for a few days or weeks or months, and then suddenly it will just hit you and then it takes you really down again. And because it's been really quite relentless in the last 6 months, I just feel like I'm starting to get to the end of my tether, because it doesn't seem, this hold it's got on me at the moment just doesn't want to let me go. But I mean, I guess it's just trying to make sure that I take some time out for myself. trying to make sure that I don't overdo things, because I'm one of those kind of busy people. I think I do take on too much, but just trying to have periods where I look after myself and do a bit of yoga or something like that. I'm quite into fitness. When my eczema's bad, I struggle with that, because getting hot and sweaty is really the last thing I want to do when my face is hot and itchy anyway. But trying to do some more gentle exercise like yoga or Pilates is something that I try and do regularly. And just kind of, I'm very lucky. I've got lots of close friends and family that I can talk to about it. I think it's very difficult to stay positive all the time. I am a reasonably positive person, but there are times when I've just really had enough, and it does make you feel quite low, quite depressed, and grumpy and snappy with your loved ones, because you can get away with being like that with them. And it is hard to stay positive, and I guess to an extent I feel that, well, why should I be positive about it? It's a pretty horrible condition that I've been living with for a long time, and it's fine to be fed up with it. I don't feel I should beat myself up too much about having the odd kind of grumpy episode. But as I think I alluded to earlier, I'm very lucky. I've got very understanding friends and family, and I feel like I've always got someone to talk to if I need to talk. And of course, the National Eczema Society have been very helpful for me and my family in the past, with the helpline. If you're really struggling, and certainly at the moment when it's been difficult with COVID to get GP appointments, you feel like you've got someone there that you can ring and talk to. I mean, obviously, because I'm a trustee, I'm in a slightly better position, and I know a lot of the dermatology nurses and that we work with, and I have had conversations with them recently, and that's helped just to make sure that I feel like I'm getting I'm trying all of the things that they're available to try. Over the years, obviously, you become accustomed to dealing with it, and I think the main thing for me, and I'm a talker anyway, is just feeling like you've got people to talk to, and not bottling it up. And obviously, some people struggle more with the emotional and the mental effects of having eczema than others. And just making sure that if you feel that you're struggling and that you feeling at your wit's end, that you seek some help, and whether that's talking to your family, or ringing the National Eczema Society, or emailing the National Eczema Society, and that you've got that connection there, and that it does help to talk to someone that's had a similar experience, because I think there is a difference for me talking to my family who don't have eczema, or when I come across someone else who's in a similar position to me, it's different, because you really have that kind of connection then, and you can kind of swap tips and swap kind of just the way you feel about things, and that's helped. And I found just trying to help others. So if I've come across people that are clearly suffering with eczema, I've tried to reach out to them, and obviously offering advice on the services that the National Eczema Society offer, and directing them to go to the National Eczema Society's website, or telling them about the helpline, because it still surprises me. There are lots of people out there that aren't really aware of the charity, and that they're not aware that there's this kind of helpline, and that they could access very easily and quickly. So I do, without kind of coming across as some mad woman leaping on every eczema sufferer that I cross in the street. I do try and offer help to others, and I guess that makes me feel good about myself a bit as well.